We just have a quick question here from Abu, who wants to know more about volumes, how we can use it in our trading as an additional layer of analysis. So thanks for the question, Abu. Now, volume is something that I did use to trade with for a short period of time a while back. But these days, I don't really use it anymore. And that doesn't mean that it's not worth your while to use it. But I didn't find a lot of lost value, so to speak, in terms of my analysis by removing it from the equation. But also at the same time, only use it for a very small period in my trading. So I'm sure there's going to be many traders out there that can offer you much better value advice and clarity on how to use it and how to find a better edge for using it in the market. So please don't take this video as a complete A to Z of volume. It's just more of a general guideline of how I used to use it myself. Now, the first thing that's important about volume is that the volume that we see for something like CFDs are very different when compared to futures contracts that are based on the underlying instrument. So any CFD, let's take a currency pair like the euro dollar, that CFD or that contract for difference will be created by your broker. So it doesn't need to be the euro USD. It could be the S&P 500 or an oil CFD. The problem with that is using volume for CFDs is that it's only going to track the tick volume during that particular bar. But more importantly, it will only refer to the volume on that internal broker for that specific CFD created by the broker. So if you compare that to something like a futures broker where you trade the actual futures contract, the actual contract will obviously be based on the underlying asset. So let's say it's the S&P 500 futures contract. It's going to be based on the S&P, and that'll give you a real volume, a sense of the real volume in the market for that particular instrument. Now, a quick example of this, just between the difference of how volume is shown for something like a CFD and a futures contract. This is Oanda's S&P 500, so it's their CFD, and you can see volume. The volume is basically populated throughout the day, obviously fluctuating as the volume changes. But if you compare this to something like the S&P E-mini futures contract, you can see that the volume profile looks completely different. And these quiet periods that you see over here, that is basically when the underlying is closed. So we know that the S&P cash only opens at the New York cash open. So when you have the cash open actually taking place, that's when you see these spikes in volume. So that increase in spiking every single day on the futures contract is basically just when the underlying market is actually open and trading. So keep in mind that volume is usually more suited for trading something like individual stocks where you see the actual amount of shares traded. But in some ways, you can also incorporate it into your trading if you're trading CFDs as well. So the basics of volume is to try and assess whether the buyers or the sellers are in control of a market or an instrument. So, for example, when you're trading a breakout, right, of a key level of support or resistance, you would want to see an increase in volume on the push up or the push down to show that there is volume behind the move. So there's an accumulation of volume, accumulation of buyers or sellers trying to push the market through that particular level. If you have a breakout, but the volume is declining, then that can mean that there isn't a lot of volume behind the move. But keep in mind, it's not only about one bar, right? You might find some consolidation above a breakout area where the price decides, where to go to next. And as the buyers or sellers start to accumulate at the level, you can see the volume, coming in slightly lower and start to consolidate. The price start to consolidate, and suddenly it builds up. And then when you see the actual break higher, you see that big increase in volume, and that's normally what you want to see with something like a breakout trade. Now, using volume to spot a possible false break or exhaustion can also be useful in that same sense. So let's see if we can find an example here. Let's see if we had a good example with this recent move in the euro. Let's go to volume. Okay, cool. So let's use this most recent move we had here. And we had that push on Monday session, that strong push to the upside, basically breaking back above that strong weekly trend line, declining trend line, as well as almost getting on top of that 113.50. But obviously, we saw a very sharp move to the downside. Now, let's quickly take a look here. Let's take the first move to the upside, right? So we had that push to the upside on fairly low volume. And then suddenly, before we broke through that 112.30 area, you can see that price started to consolidate at that level. But what you'll also see is as we consolidated on that level, you'll see that volume started to maybe inch down lower. So we inched down lower at that volume, but we didn't really see a lot of downside in the price. So this was basically just an accumulation, of buyers basically accumulating at that level before we had that push to the upside. And then similarly, if we take in a vertical line here from that breakout that we had of that trend line, you can see that the move to the downside with that push above that trend line, we actually had a lot of volume, but the volume increased to the downside. And then we had an even bigger bar to the downside. So that is normally indicative of a lot of selling pressure coming into that particular level. And it's normally best to take some profit when you see that type of drastic increase in terms of volume to the downside. It's not always the case, but it can be used, as we said, just as an example. Another one would be this false break we had. So let's just go to a smaller time frame. We had that 113 level, and let's go to something like the 5 minutes here, and let's just remove that pivot. So so this was actually a good example. So we moved into that 113 level, and you can see as we moved into that level, we actually had volume, but we didn't have a massive blowout in terms of volume to the upside. So we broke through that level, but there wasn't a lot of follow through in terms of volume. And then suddenly we had one bar, huge increase in volume. And then we had that retest of the breakout. So how a false break usually works is you have the false break, a break back below the level, a retest, and then a continuation. You can see those two bars that try to basically regain control of that 113 level. There was far less volume compared to that, to the actual move, the actual false break to the downside. So that's one way that you can look at it as well. The other way to look at it as a general guide is if you have a strong trending market to the upside, so you have a strong, a bullish trend, and you want to be obviously trading in line with that trend. You want to see volume accelerating in the direction of your trend, and you want to see volume decelerating when you have pullbacks. That is usually a good sign that the overall trend will hold. But as we mentioned, for CFDs, it's much less valuable info compared to something like the futures contract. As with the CFDs, you're most often than not only seeing that particular broker's tick volume, which means it is less reliable to some extent. So all in all, it's a useful tool to have. Can you trade without it? Yes, you can. It really comes back to preference with this one, in my opinion. But also, as mentioned, I'm not an expert on trading with volume. There might be some traders out there that uses it completely differently and in line with their particular trading edge, which might not be able to ever trade without it. So I would encourage you to do some more additional research on it if it is something that you're really interested in. So I hope that helps, Abu. Any other questions, don't hesitate to let us know.